Hey guys,
Hello.
you want to know what one of our most common mail questions that we get via email is how do we level up our training game? And
Oh,
it is people are always looking for those tips and tricks, and we're not just talking about like the basics, but when we talk about coming in to do the training, we're talking about customized training designed to unlock your team's absolute fullest potential.
yep. It's all about delivering the experience, not plain old training. We make it engaging, hands on, not boring.
And it's constantly up to date, right? And we bring in other companies with us. So if you're doing a decon, we're bringing in a decon company. If you're doing metering, we're bringing in a meter company. We make the training as absolutely realistic as possible. Our instructors, they don't just have the knowledge, but they have the experience and the mastery of teaching to keep everybody 100% fully engaged. We are absolutely some of the best partners in the field.
So if you're looking to transform your team's capabilities, don't miss out on training with us. It's a journey towards personal and professional excellence. Go over to thehazmatguys.com/hire us and reserve your spot and start your transformational training experience today.
A little disclaimer though, I'm not actually responsible for your personal journey because I will fuck that up. I got a Brian hand. That is probably a record Brian hands down ever.
That was bad. Oh, let me see. We have to mention a couple of things. We have battery destroyers on the West Coast coming up very soon. I believe we will be out there doing some crazy stuff with some batteries in the middle of February. So we'll probably have a wrap-up party in maybe mid-March where we will put it on the YouTubes and the Facebooks and comments on and et cetera, et cetera. So more to come on that one. And we have the next installment of the After Action Report, which is going to be, we're going to try to keep it on track with the first Wednesday of every month. So February 7th at 19:30 hours Eastern Standard Time. This is going to be a long format. It is live. It is going to be broken down. I don't know if we're going to actually break it down. I think we're just going to kind of leave it on YouTube and Facebook and
I
let it dwell there.
It's nice. You know what's great about it? What I thought was so cool is all the questions that people were able to ask. Like, it's a very interactive show.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little bit different than the happy hour, which is a phenomenal hour in and of itself. But it's just a different format, a different feel. You know, it's kind of like just sitting around and listening to the senior guy at the table talk about shit, which it's nice. It feels like I'm sitting at the firehouse kitchen table, and I miss that.
Yeah, so it's free. Comments are on. Come on, have a good time. Listen to some stories. Conferences, man, we got a lot of them coming up. We have New York State. We have Walmer, which Wisconsin, March 6th and 7th. New England, March 26th to the 28th. OMRA, April 8th through the 10th. Michigan, Cold Zone. We'll get to them as we get closer, but they're kind of a little further away. Oregon, Oklahoma, Baltimore. The list goes on.
And we're unraveling some cool stuff in some of these, right? Between games, new lectures,
yes,
new products and services that would be available to not necessarily to people, but definitely to departments and municipalities and structures. I'll leave it at that. There's some really cool things on the horizon. So we are looking forward to this year. I mean, New England is going to be, you know, probably the one that we're most looking forward to growing and succeeding. So come along with this journey with us. It's a lot of fun.
All right. Today's episode, actually, today's more than going to be one episode. This is going to be...
It most
I went down a rabbit hole on this one. So I was listening to another podcast.
Smoking hookahs when you got done.
Oh, I was listening to another podcast, and they were going through some of the psychological effects of like professional athletes and that kind of stuff. And I said, boy, I wonder what kind of maladies go against hazmat techs or emergency responders in general, we'll say. And there
Got
was
nothing.
a list. Yeah, it was nothing. We're perfect.
We're perfect.
There was a list of seriously like 30 of them, and I was like, whoa. And I picked 10. So I don't know how many we're going to go in, but the format is kind of the same thing. It's going to be like, what is this fallacy, bias, paradox, whatever the hell it is? What is it? What is the definition of it? What is the impact on us? What are some examples of it being employed in like the real world? And then we're going to give you some strategies to counteract it.
Yeah. But let me tell you, real quick, disclaimer. You will never be able to counteract your own, like, there are no strategies to counteract your biases. There just aren't. You're going to fall into them. You're not even going to realize it until it's over with and you're doing a hot wash or somebody comes up to you later and talks to you.
Say,
but when you're in the moment, there is no strategy. The strategies that we're talking about, and this is where hazmat becomes a team effort, right? The strategies that we're talking about are all, oh my God, I see Mike doing this. He's landing in the sunken cost fallacy. He's going down a rabbit hole. He doesn't even realize it. I need to intervene here. And that is such a huge part of the hazmat world. And people forget it. They forget that this is a team effort. They forget that everybody has the right to push back upon everybody else.
That's why it was kind of like a, I don't want to say a shock, but I was like, wow, I can see this one going. So we're going to see how many we can get through in an episode. I don't know. It might be 1, it might be 2, it might be 3, it might be 4. I don't know. But the first one, and probably the most glaring one, is confirmation bias.
Yeah, this is totally the one that, I mean, I think I have recognized it in myself multiple times. I've talked about multiple examples. So what do we got for confirmation bias? We basically have the tendency to process information by looking for or interpreting information that is consistent with one's own belief. We see this extensively throughout the world right now, right? The internet has given us the incredible ability to be able to find people who are like-minded, slip into those like-minded conversations and ignore everything else around us. And it intensifies our feelings. It takes false beliefs and it makes us feel like, no, look, like I'm right because of this. And confirmation bias can happen from a social aspect, and it happens on an individual aspect as well. So think about it like this, right? I always give this story, and I'm sure I've told it multiple times, of the Coke syrup incident, right? Where I was down there and like I didn't see 3-inch letters on a tank that said Coke syrup, and I thought it was a CO2 tank, and I turned off the CO2 tank, and all of the things that should have hit me in the back of the head and say, you freaking idiot, that's not a CO2 tank, including the giant letters that said Coke syrup, right? I ignored them all. And I kept making excuses as to why what I was doing was the correct way. So I mean, what are some of the impacts that something like that can have on an emergency response?
Now that you say that, like if you're in a confirmation bias loop or any fallacy loop, how much potential do you think that somebody grabs you and goes, you're in a feedback loop, stop, for you to say, wait a second, it totally
depends.
It can
on
be
the person.
done.
Oh yeah.
I think a lot of rank would prevent that. I think some people are just like, no, I'm right and you're wrong kind of people. But if you can grow yourself as a person to say, I expect the people on my team to smack me and say, you're doing something crazy. Like, this is not, you're.
Yeah, I think it starts with the fundamentals of how the team is put together. And not only the team, but the leader of the team as well, right? And the senior guys to boot. The time that I got called out for my absolute absurdity, and I will literally call it just like that. Like, this is probably the most embarrassing story to tell, but it's so important to tell it over and over again because it really confirms everything. The guy was like 2 weeks on in the company. He's with me, and he turns around and he's like, after 15 minutes, he finally got the balls to call me out and be like, I don't think that's the CO2 tank. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he gave me very valid reasons, like it says Coke syrup right on the cylinder. So like, that's a really hard, that is a really hard, like, you want to be like, oh my God. And it's so hard, right? Because in that moment, you're not thinking, you think of your reputation, you think of embarrassment, you think you're wrong, like all these things that make you, a person of respect. In that moment, there is a flush of fear that's like, oh my God, these guys are going to lose faith in me. Like, I just really fuck this up. They're going to lose faith in me. But, if we had kept going down that road, we would have left that building with a CO2 tank continuing to leak. And after telling everybody the situation is fine. Yes.
And you know what, and just to kind of spread the wealth out, there are real world examples out there, such as law enforcement, right? Early hypothesis of investigations may lead to focusing on supporting evidence and result in wrongful arrest or overlooked suspects.
You see it all the time. I don't know if you get these Second Amendment auditors come through your social media feed, but you see it all the time in the law enforcement world where the first thing they hear is what they attach onto, and it takes a very long time. If the person is right and they're being confronted by a police officer that has already confirmation biased, it is tough to break that, and that can lead to false imprisonment, false arrest. The people's amendments, their rights being stripped from them, arrests, things along those lines. So what are some strategies that we can do to counteract confirmation bias? And this is hard. Remember, we're not talking about in yourself. It's not going to happen in yourself. So one of the things that you have to do as you set up your team to fight confirmation bias is to be okay, and it's to be okay seeking the opposite information. I'll give you a really good example. We sit and we have meetings for this podcast all the time. And somebody will throw out an idea in the group. And we turn around and we go, okay, playing devil's advocate. Boom, 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 boom. You need to have that built into your response. You need to have people that are next to you who understand that their job is to play devil's advocate. Their job is to take your thought process and flip it upside down, find the flaws in it, and discredit it. You're not going to be able to do that yourself, right? So Bob has an idea. He has an hypothesis. I am now looking for anything that could possibly tear a hole.
You should be seeking that.
I'm seeking it. I'm actively looking to tear Bob's thought process apart.
And that kind of goes through the next 2 or 3 points here is that, you should have protocols necessitating that multi-scenario type thing because you're going to be doing it in a team discussion. Like your entire team should be practicing this, is the shoot holes in my theory concept. I mean, on the regular, that's where a team is meh to a team that is exceptional, is the ones that practice this whole team shoot down thing. I don't know what the hell you call it.
But how hard is that as a firefighter? Because there's no hazmat technicians coming out of Proby school, right? The hazmat technicians are all built upon experienced firefighters, or they should be. So how hard is it as an experienced firefighter to come into the world of hazmat and to know that it's okay to keep your mouth open? Because we're so taught in the fire department, like Bob's got 20 years of experience. I come on with 3 years in and I'm on my first hazmat call. Hey kid, ears, eyes open, mouth shut. That can't happen if you're going to try to decrease confirmation bias, because it is sometimes the point of view of the new person that ends up bringing the team in the direction that they weren't expecting to go. So it starts by enabling your team to have open communication. And this isn't some like Gen Z, this is a safe space kind of nonsense, right?
No.
This is literally saying, from you let the guys at the bottom need to feel comfortable to give their ideas. And when they give stupid ideas, they need to be listened to just as much as the good ideas, because you don't want to take and make it so that somebody who has a bad idea 90% of the time is too afraid to open their mouth, because he might have that good idea that 10% of the time. So literally listen to it. And then you do what we were talking about. You pick it apart. You find the holes in that theory, and then everybody has the ability to talk, and that helps to promote diversified viewpoints, right? That kind of action, that kind of ability to have open conversation, whether the chief is in that conversation, your officer, or it's just the firefighter. It's the open discussion and identifying what is happening and being able to push back. If I've got a captain who's coming up with a bad idea, I need to be able to turn around and go, hey, Cap, you got to listen to this. Like, this is a much better idea. This is a much better plan. I find holes in your theory. And that can be very intimidating for people who are in a team that is not set up to do that.
I agree. And my point is going to be a little bit tougher to do. I don't think technology's gotten there yet, but like training and simulations where one person plays the role. And we've done this, is that you play the role of the confirmation bias guy. So like maybe take the senior guy and say, listen, you're going to have the wrong idea and you're going to stick to your guns. And let's see if the new guys will break with you. Or will they just fold in under the senior man thing and then be like, well, we're with our boy.
But it can't be done in the guise of, this is a drill to push back on me. Like, you have to drill as if you're in a real thing, and you have to know, okay, I'm going to make really poor choices. How is my team going to react to those poor choices?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the point. Yes.
Right. That's the point.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. We can identify times that it's happened by doing like after action reports, debriefings, where we turn around and we openly discuss what each other has done wrong or what ourselves have done wrong, right? The reason I talk about that McDonald's story is because it's a debriefing, and it's an ability for me to put my faults out there and for other people to learn from them. So we need to be able to do reviews and discussion processes, identify the biases, and then move forward as a team, understanding how to compete that later.
Yeah, and I think we kind of gone through this. Is like mindful practices. Be cognizant that this is a crazy bias that is so prevalent out there. You have to at least acknowledge it. And that's kind of why we're bringing it up in the show. It's not very hazmat-y, but there's, let me tell you, if you don't know that you're doing this, you are definitely doing this.
Yeah, there is an industry that fights confirmation bias so well in their training, and it's the airline industry. And the reason that they have to fight it so well is because they have a tremendous amount of technology and decision-making tools readily available to them, right? A pilot can literally take off and land a plane in almost zero visibility, doing nothing but trusting his instruments. But he's got to trust his instruments. And they have to train to trust their instruments, because it is so easy to look at your instrument and go, well, I don't feel like I'm in a 45-degree bank turn. My instruments are telling me I'm in a 45-degree bank turn. I don't feel like I am. So I'm going to ignore, the machine must be broken, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and then you're in a mountain.
And then you're in a mountain, right? Or you spiral downward like the Kennedy brother in the airplane. He, his death was a confirmation bias death. He put himself into a spin because he thought he was pulling up when he was really going down, because he didn't trust his instruments. So use the instruments to your availability to help yourself make a decision. Does my decision fit in with what my meters are telling me?
Love it. Okay, number 2, we're going to cram this in this episode.
Okay, go.
Is the sunk cost fallacy.
The sunk
cost
fallacy.
Yeah, this is a tendency to continue an endeavor due to past investments such as money, effort, or time, despite the current costs outweighing the benefits now.
Mm.
So we're we're in for a penny, in for a pound. You hear this all the time.
Right. I'm going in
right? So,
full bore.
We already started this thing. So like, give me a couple examples.
Okay, so would something like gambling in a casino be the sunken cost fallacy? Well, I'm already in for $300. I might as well continue to go in, even though there's no way that you have a winning hand.
The next one is the one.
Right, the next one's the one. I've already invested so much time and effort. We see this sometimes with projects that people have, right? Like, oh, I have this idea, and they're so invested in it that they can't see that it's just not worth it, right? And we see impacts like this on emergency services, right? One of the biggest impacts that we see, if we can relate back to the firefighting realm, is search and rescue teams.
Mm-hmm.
Right, where we can turn around and we know that that people aren't going to be found. We know that we're just spinning our wheels for nothing. But we have all this equipment, all this training, all these people. Let's invest their time and effort into doing something, even though we understand that there's going to be no good outcome. Right, we're going to continue to look for survivors, even though we're well past the mark that anybody could be alive.
Or even like doctors, right? Doctors, they stick to a treatment plan despite new evidence, being presented, because they've invested so much of their reputation and et cetera, kind of thing on that thing, and so they're just like, no, this is still right.
This can even lend into disaster relief, right? Where you're now the logistics side of all this, and you're trying to help out. And it's like, oh, we've got all of these blankets, and we're going to hand out blankets. Well, it's freaking Louisiana in the middle of the summertime. They don't need blankets. Like, go get something else. From a hazmat point of view, it could be using a meter that you have invested a tremendous amount of time, effort, and energy on, and you're using it just because you've invested that time and effort and energy into it, or a technique, or any kind of a mitigation practice. Well, I've been doing this for 13 hours. Yeah, but it's not working, so let's do something else.
Yeah. So a couple of the factors leading to the fallacy. Let's start with the first one.
All right. Well, the aversion to loss, right? None of us have the ego to be able to.
Man, I hope I lose my shirt today.
Right. To be like, man, I just put all this effort into it. Well, screw it. I don't need this time. I don't need this effort. I don't need this money. So would be the aversion to loss, where I don't want to feel that inner conflict of, oh man, I just lost.
Yeah, the feel of wasted effort. Right. So as a continuation of that's not a good one.
What do you mean?
No, I'm just saying, like, there's the money part.
Right.
And then there's the effort part, which is more where we land, because, like, we're shoveling the sand, and we're just like, keep shoveling the sand. Like,
okay, so your loss would be your loss of your time and effort already. Sometimes people fall into this because they are so rigid in their response. They want every single thing to be the same, and they can't deviate from that. Like, they don't have the ability to be like water and flow around obstacles. They're very much. Do you see this in officers and firefighters that are like, well, no, this is an if then statement, right? And the protocol clearly says if, so then I have to do then.
Right, exactly. And a lot of this goes with self-justification or ego protection, which is avoiding admitting a bad decision. I'm just going to keep going with this one.
Right. I can't be wrong. that's not in my wheelhouse to be. I'm a chief, goddammit. Or I'm a senior firefighter. You've got 2 weeks on. What could you possibly? We also have emotional attachment. We don't see this a lot in emergency response in our job, and the jobs go very, very far to make sure that you don't respond into a place of emotional attachment, but emotional attachment can affect your decision making, which is why we, to the best of our ability, try to put people into positions where they're not making decisions that will personally affect them, because the sunken fallacy can really dig in if that person has an emotional investment, or kind of something to gain or something to lose personally from that.
These next two are really pure. One is the over optimism, and this is kind of reminds me of like the what is that? The dog sitting in a fire room, and he's like, "Everything's fine.
I got this.
It's
right.
all fine. Everything's fine." You know, like if you have to kind of take a gut check every once in a while and see if it is indeed fine.
Yeah, and then we have, of course, peer pressure. Right, which kind of bits and pieces of everything that we talked about now put into one mold, where it's like, oh shit, man, I don't want to go against the social norms. And there are tons of experiments out there that show how difficult it is for human beings to go against social norms. So how can we actually start to combat some of these fallacies? Well, you can do, again, regular assessments. Again, you notice that none of these things are things that we're talking about on scene. Regular assessments, periodically evaluate the ongoing situation and compare the new data to it. And I would even venture to say, get second opinions on that new data. Hey, what do you see from this point of view? That way you're combating the confirmation bias at the same time you're combating the sunken cost.
I will say that like all these things are resettable. I don't want to say that. Maybe that's not, but they're definitely able to be self-perceived if you're looking for something like this and corrected on the fly.
Oh, yeah. So, if somebody brings it to your attention, you're like, holy crap,
right,
I can't believe I just did that.
My point is like nothing here, none of these fallacies that we're going to be going through are irrational. Like people have a irrational fear of heights or irrational fear of spiders. These are all hardwired into the human psyche. Like you're not an exception that you're not going to have these. Nope. So, but they're all fixable. Like, you know, you can do things like cognitive flexibility training, which is a session focusing on adapting strategies with evolving information. These are injects, they call them in training. So you start the scenario, and then here's new information. Here's new information. Here's new information. And you see if they start deviating their plan based upon that new information.
Right. You can apply protocols to existing protocols that actually stop people and check to make sure, hey, is this what we want it to be? Have we invested too much?
That is the entire model of API.
It is the entire model of API. But the key to the API system is you can't do it by yourself. You can't evaluate you can't be the one to evaluate it and the one to implement the plan. Because if I implemented the plan, I want that plan to go correct, and I'm going to sink in whatever time I think is necessary to make that plan correct, because God damn it, I'm not wrong.
Right. You have to have, and we said this in the last one, a culture of openness. You have to promote adaptability as a strength.
Yeah, you need to, and yeah, we do have a lot of overlaps with some of these biases, where if you encourage self-awareness, if you encourage mindfulness training, if you set up kind of limits as to how far somebody can go and do something before they need to be checked, you're going to help stop yourself from first sinking in so much money that then you can't pull out.
Yeah, I like that. You have decision support systems using tools to inform decisions. And what else? Mindful training, Mike?
Yeah, I would say mindful training. You know, to be able to the mindfulness does it again. It's not mindfulness training where it's going to be like, oh, I realize what's happening. It's mindfulness training to be able to listen to your team, to listen to your chief, your officer, your firefighter, your probie, whoever it is, to turn around and go, ha, I messed up.
We're going to come back. The next one is so much fun, and I cannot wait for next week to do this one. This is, I think we've mentioned it in a couple of episodes, but I don't think we really deep dived in this one. So we'll see you all next week.